ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्ख्यपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Namaste once again everyone.
Hari Om
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste.
Hey, Hari Om.
Pranam Guruji, Namaste.
Pranam, pranam. यथा दीपो निवातस्तः नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यतचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः. So this is the 19th shloka. So Lord Krishna has been talking about Vedantic meditation, closely following the stages of meditation given in the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali Rishi. Now, in the following verses, he is going to discuss the actual process of meditation and its culmination. And as I said in the last class, the culmination of meditation is the mental absorption in the object of meditation. And we have seen that the mental absorption is defined as the flow of the same or similar thought, sajatiya pratyaya pravaha. And in Vedantic meditation, the flow of thought should be dealing with the very nature of Atma. And Atma has got different features, as we have seen again and again. Previous chapters, so different places, different features of Atma we have come across. So you can change the thought from one feature of Atma to another feature of Atma, but you should not change from Atma to any other object. This is the crux of Vedantic meditation. So we have got a boundary. The boundary is all thoughts should be relating to Atma. The various features of Atma alone should be meditated upon. That is, Atma is Chaitanya Swarupa, Atma Nitya hai, Atma Eka hai, Atma Sarvagata hai, Atma Nirakara hai, Atma Gunatita hai. So many, various, these are all just examples. I mean, if you go into Nididhyasanam slokas, Dasha Sloki and all, you get lot of adjectives. I wouldn't call it adjectives, the features of Atma, how to understand Atma. And Krishna has already discussed these different features in the second chapter, in the fourth chapter, and also in the fifth chapter. Especially the second chapter, verses 12 to 25, the most important verses, which completely, in a very, very summary manner, Krishna unfolds the entire Vedanta teaching. There also he discusses the various features of Atma. So in meditation, in Vedantic meditation, which we call Nididhyasanam, what I have to do, I have to bring to my mind what all I have heard from the Guru. Because what Guru has told me is what is there in the Shastra. So the entire teaching relating to Atma, I should bring into my mind. And my thoughts during that meditation should be only and only restricted to features of Atma. What I am, my reality. And that is why, Vedantic meditation is impossible without studying Vedanta under a Guru. A person who has not undergone the Vedantic study, he cannot practice Atma Dhyanam because he doesn't even know what is Atma. Therefore, for practicing Vedantic meditation, one should have studied Vedanta under the guidance of a Guru for at least some length of time. And that is why Krishna himself, after dealing with what is Atma in different contexts, different aspects of Atma, he is introducing Vedantic meditation in the 6th chapter. 5 chapters he has dealt with all the other aspects of Atma. Karma Yoga, everything he has dealt with. He has given in a capsule form the entire Vedanta teaching in the 5 chapters. Now he comes to the meditation part of it. Of course, a non-Vedantic student can practice any other forms of meditation. As I said, one important aspect of Dhyanam is that it should relate to the Lord. Ishvara should be there in the Dhyanam. So one can do Manasa Puja of the Lord, mental chanting of various prayers. They are called Upasana Dhyanam. We will discuss about this Upasana Dhyanam also later on. Towards the end of the chapter, we will discuss that. So a non-Vedantic student can practice other different forms of meditation, but Atma Dhyanam can be practiced only by a Vedantic student. And as I said, Vedantic student has learned the different features of Atma from the Guru. And the Guru has pointed out how Atma is of the nature of consciousness. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Satya Sarvagata Asanga hai, Eka hai, Akarta, Nirvikara hai, Abhokta, all that he has heard, the student has heard. And of course, he is supposed to understood also, convinced about it. He has gone through the Shravanam stage where he heard all these things. He has gone through the Mananam stage where all his doubts relating to this has been clarified and he is convinced. Now Nididhyasanam stage he has come to meditate upon that knowledge he has gained so that knowledge becomes his second nature. That knowledge helps him to shift his identity, his identification with body mind complex to identification with the consciousness. And in case he has not understood any of this, unless he is convinced about it, he should not practice Atma Dhyana. Because if you are not convinced, even in meditation, you will be wasting your time only. The moment you think, oh, aham asanga hai, doubt will come. Am I really asanga hai? I've got all these people. My parents are there. My children are there. My spouse is there. That sangatvam is there. So how I can be convinced that I am asanga hai? So this thing, he should be very clear that totally his identification with anatma should be completely removed. At least for the time of meditation, even otherwise also. Once he becomes a jnani, that's why a jnani, his identification with all sorts of anatma is removed. A jnani identifies himself only with his atma. So in case he is not convinced, he should again go back to the Guru. Again, either continue with Shravanam or Mananam until he is able to grasp the different features of Atma. And during meditation, his aim is to recall and relive whatever he has grasped from the teacher. That knowledge has to go and settle down in his subconscious. Till that happens, Nididhyasanam should be continued. And therefore, meditation is not thinking of a new thing. Meditation is recollecting whatever we have collected earlier. And therefore, this Vedantic student mentally actually goes back to the class. He goes back to Vedanta Shravanam, and what all he has heard, he has to bring into his mind. And he has also to see, because mind also is anatma. So he has to see himself as the witness of his thoughts. I am of the nature of changeless consciousness, and I am not affected by the type of all these thoughts. These are all different features. And when my mind continually dwells on that, it is called Sajatiya Pratyaya Pravaha, without being distracted by Vijatiya Pratyaya Pravaha or dissimilar thoughts. And the flow of these similar thoughts alone, when you practice it or dwell upon it again and again and again, those thoughts become stronger and stronger, and your effort in recollecting them becomes effortless, lesser and less, I would call it conscious. So there is also a gradation in my involvement in the thought. It starts maybe with a very weak involvement, but when you continue the process, it becomes stronger and stronger. Sometimes, when we start, suppose the whole family is planning to go on a holiday to some foreign country. No? What happens? Initially, it's a thought. Okay, everybody discuss, okay, we will all go to so and so place. Then what happens? You start the preparations for that. And then as you proceed further and further, so many details are there, visa, passport, stay arrangements, travel arrangements, places to see and all, you at one stage totally get absorbed in that thoughts of all these things, isn't it? Maybe your spouse will come, say, okay, come, the lunch is ready. You come, you say, no, 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 wait, I'm in the midst of something relating to our holiday program. I'll finish this and then come and have my lunch. So that absorption happens as you get involved more and more in any activity rather. And the same thing we will employ in Vedantic field also. And since the commitment or involvement gradually absorbs me, the Yoga Shastra, as we have already seen, puts it in 3 grades. First, collection of the mind in Dharana stage, where there is an attempt to enter into meditation. This collection of mind leads to gradual absorption and therefore to the Dhyana stage, and culminates successfully in the Samadhi stage when I am fully absorbed. There also, Yoga Shastra talks about 2 types of samadhi: Savikalpaka samadhi, where I am absorbed deliberately with where my willpower is required. I consciously avoid all dissimilar thoughts. And then I move on to Nirvikalpaka samadhi. Spontaneously I am absorbed. My willpower is no longer required. It is just, as I say, just keeps happening. That's the Nirvikalpaka Samadhi stage. No deliberate effort is required. And this Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is supposed to be the culmination of Ashtanga Yoga. And therefore, these 8 stages are called Angas, or the stepping stones. And Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is called Angi, the destination, the culmination and fruit of practicing the Ashtanga Yoga, or you can call it Yoga Phalam. And Krishna wants to define that Samadhi in these verses, beginning from 20 to 23, 4 verses. He presents 7 definitions of Samadhi or culmination or Yoga Phalam, as I said, Ashtanga Yoga Phalam. And we will start with verse number 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. The Anvaya of the sloka is Yatra chittam niruddham uparamate yoga sevaya cha yatra eva pashyan atmanam atmana tushyati atmani. Lot of atma is coming. Atmanam, atmana, atmani. 3 vibhaktis. Yatra, wherein. Wherein means is defining samadhi. What is samadhi? Samadhi is that wherein chittam, the mind, niruddham, is restrained, yoga sevaya, by practice of meditation, uparamate, it quietens, cha, yatra eva, and wherein alone, pashyan, one perceives, atmanam, the atma, atmana, with the pure mind, tushyati, and rejoices, atmani, in the atma. So samadhi is that wherein the mind, restrained by the practice of meditation, quietens, and wherein one perceives the atma, the self, with the pure mind and rejoices in that Atma. So I said 7 definitions of Samadhi he gives in these 4 shlokas. So in this verse, he gives 2 definitions. What is the first definition? Chitta uparamanam, total tranquility of the mind, total relaxation of the mind. That can be defined as Samadhi. And that is why, the very word Samadhi is given different derivations in the Sanskrit language. One derivation given is Samadhihi yasmin saha samadhihi. Sama means equanimous, tranquil, like a waveless lake or body of water. Just imagine a lake, where there is no breeze outside. The lake is without even a ripple. Just plain lake. Beautiful to see, When you actually look at that lake, observe the lake itself, your mind quietens. In fact, Kalidasa, in one of his works, when he wants to talk about a calm lake, you know what he does? He compares it to the mind of a jnani. Normally, we will put it different, the other way around, isn't it? If you want to say jnani has got a very, very calm, quiet, tranquil mind, like what? We will say like a lake, which is a waveless lake. But Kalidasa does the reverse. He is describing a calm lake and he compares it to the mind of Jnani. Probably, those days there were plenty of Jnanis available for comparison. Now Jnanis are very, very rare. And therefore, probably you have to use the comparison the other way around. There is a lake called Mansarovar. I'm sure you have heard. It is actually Manasa Sarovar. That Manasa Sarovar is supposed to be a calm, vast, blue, beautiful and cool lake. Like what? Like the mind of a jnani. So if you go to that Mansarovar, very beautiful place to do meditation. Like the lake, your mind also will be tranquil. Like the mind of a jnani. Therefore, the first definition is Samadhihi. Dihi here means the mind. As I said, Sama means tranquil. That state in which the mind is tranquil. This is one derivation. There is another derivation which we will see later. But in this context, remember this derivation, Samadhihi. And how is the mind tranquilized? Not by using some tranquilizers and all that, The mind is made tranquil by this special exercise which is referred to here as Chittam Niruddham. Niruddham means to withdraw, to restrain. The mind is withdrawn from the entire Anatma Prapancha, withdrawn from the world, withdrawn from all sorts of relationships, withdrawn from all worldly roles, husband status, wife status, father, mother status. All of them are not existent for the time being when I am in meditation. Because each role I play has got a set of problems. No doubt, of course, there are some joyful moments, happy occasions are there. But generally, what happens when we sit in meditation, the problems only will surface. Therefore, every role has got set of attendant problems. Therefore, the role has to, as Swami Paramarthananda says, the role has to roll away. And he said that is why it is called a roll. It has to roll away. Anyhow, so during meditation, do not be any one of them. All these roles are gone. That is called withdrawing. न मृत्युर्न शंका न मे जाति भेद है पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बंधुर्न मित्रम गुरुर्नैव शिष्य है चिदानंद रूप शिवोहम शिवोहम. That should be the status of the mind. State of the mind. Pita naiva na naiva me naiva mata. No father, no mother. I have none. Of course, don't get, it's only temporary for during meditation. So the point is you withdraw from the worldly objects, worldly relationships. This is called nirodha, restraining or withdrawing, withholding. And how do you do that? He says yoga sevaya, by practicing the Ashtanga yoga method. Because Ashtanga yoga is specially designed for this purpose. All our scriptures help us to reach the ultimate goal of moksha. Therefore, yoga sevaya. Here, seva is not service. Seva means abhyasa, practice. So, by the practice of the other five angas, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara sevaya, chittam niruddham. So, by practice of the antaranga and bahiranga sadhananis, chittam niruddham, the restrained mind. What happens? Uparamate remains calm. It is in deep silence. It enjoys inner silence. And this tranquility, born out of mental restraint, is the first definition of samadhi. Samadhihi, by through chittam niruddham. Then what is the second definition of samadhi? Look at the second line. Atmanam pashyan. Now, silencing of the mind is not our goal. Because if you only silence the mind, you will get temporary tranquility, temporary peace. But you will not get Vedantic tranquility. Remember, we are talking about Vedantic meditation. Practicing silence will not become Vedantic meditation. Therefore, what is more important is having silenced the mind. In the silent mind, we have to bring the Vedantic teaching. What is that? Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha srotra jihve nacha grana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayuhu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. All these nirvana shatkam, dashakam, all nididhyasana slokas, with their meanings fully understood, I will have to replay those slokas in my mind, in that silent mind. So you have to know the meaning and then repeat that meaning. Otherwise, what? It will be just like a Parayanam, Vishnu Sahasranama Parayanam and all. Everybody will very high speed, they will chant without understanding any meaning. Why are we chanting Vishnu Sahasranama also? They don't know. Well, most of them are all, sakama karmas they consider. That the same Vishnu Sahasranamam can be used for Nishkama karma, as a Nishkama karma also, they don't understand. If you understand the meaning, you will know, as we have seen, all Vishnu Sahasranamam students are here, whom we have seen the entire Vishnu Sahasranam with meanings. What is the underlying message? It is nothing but again going towards moksha only. So the meaning of the mantras, I have to see aham shivaha asmi, aham mangala swarupam asmi, aham purna swarupam asmi, all these things, ananda swarupam asmi. So all this knowledge which I have gained, through the understanding the meanings of all these, I have to bring it into my mind. So the mind is not a passive mind. Mind you, the mind has to entertain Vedantic thoughts. There has got to be a sajatiya pratyaya pravaha. And this alone, Krishna says, Atmanam Pashyan. One should see the Atma as revealed by the Guru and Shastra. Meditation, you don't gain any new knowledge. Knowledge is gained only through Shravanam and Mananam. In meditation, we will see within inverted commas, that knowledge. How? By bringing all that knowledge to our mind and dwelling upon that knowledge. And that is why it is repeatedly emphasized that without Vedanta Shravanam, Vedanta Dhyanam is not possible. Now, suppose a person says, I want to meditate on Atma, and he is asked, what do you know about Atma? And he says, I don't know. Then how can he meditate on something which you don't know? Without knowing the Atma, if you meditate, what it will be? You can imagine Atma to be something. You will dwell upon varieties of your whimsical imagination. And that cannot be called Vedantic meditation. Vedantic meditation presupposes Vedantic study. And therefore, Atmanam Pashyan, seeing the Atma. And where does he see the Atma? He says Atmani. Here, the word Atmani, the meaning is mind. In his mind, he has to see the Atma, which again means the same thing. He has to recollect the teaching. So, if during Shravanam, the olden days, they used to have this VCR and all that. Of course, most of us are aware of it. These days, all that's gone. VCR, VCP and all, it'll all become antique pieces now. So, during Shravanam, if that video cassette recorder is functioning, during Dhyanam, the video cassette player should function. It should replay what all has been recorded in the Shravanam stage. Suppose without recording anything you play, what will happen? Nothing will come, only blankness and silence will come. Therefore, VCP can function only VCR has been utilized and recording has been done. And since you are all listening to this, hopefully you are recording all this talk, this knowledge in your internal VCR. And later, when you bring the teaching to your mind, you can practice Vedantic meditation. And it is not necessary Vedantic meditation. You should practice, sit someplace and closed eyes and all that. In and through every daily activity of yours, you can do Vedantic meditation. Our mind has got the capacity, to do multitasking. So while doing things, you can still replay the teaching, like the cow chewing the cud. And therefore, Atmanam. Here, the three word Atmanam, Atmani, Atmana, right? Lot of Atmas are there, but different is different. The meanings are different. Atmanam means the Atma. Atmani means in the mind. Atmana means with the help of the mind itself. So, Atmanam means the self, the Atma. Atmani means in the mind. And Atmana means with the help of the mind itself. So, with the help of the mind, one should see the self in the mind. Why? Because thoughts are involved, and thoughts are, the mind is the seat for thoughts. So, without Vedantic thoughts, there is no Vedantic meditation. And therefore, with the help of the mind, one should see the Atma in the mind itself. And Atma is in the mind, residing in the mind as the witness of your thoughts. Therefore, Sakshi Chaitanya Rupena Antakarane Atmanam Antakaranena Pashyati. So, what is the second definition of Samadhi? Atma Darshanam. And what is the advantage of this, you may ask? By recollecting the Shravanam, what benefit will I get if you ask? Swami Paramatmanandaji gives a very beautiful example to explain what benefit we get. He says, suppose you have got a clock in your room. Say during daytime, will you notice the ticking sound of the clock? Because when the second that hand moves, tick, 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 it moves and there is a sound. We don't hear that sound during the day. Why? Because there are so many other sounds which are overwhelming the ticking sound of the clock. But at night, when you actually, all sounds are put off, TV, everything is put off. When you go to bed, or suppose you have actually removed all the sounds from your mind, close the room, sitting down on meditation. When all the other sounds are gone, then what happens? The ticking of the clock appears to be very prominent, isn't it? That's the only sound you will hear. Tick, 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 tick. Now, can we say that the ticking of the clock has become prominent suddenly? No, because throughout the day, the ticking is of the same intensity only. It is not that in the night the ticking sound is more and during daytime ticking sound is less. The ticking sound is uniform during day and night, but during the daytime, that sound is overpowered by disturbance, but during night, the sound is prominently felt. Similarly, in Nididhyasanam, the advantage is I have removed all other thoughts, all other noises from the mind. all distractions from the mind, the noises generated by the father I, the mother I, the son I, all that. Each worry is a mental noise. Each worry is a ripple in the mind causing noise. When I replace all the worries, all the thoughts with the teaching, then the teaching has got more impact. In a silent mind, the teaching has got greater impact, and therefore the impact of the teaching becomes stronger and stronger. See how beautifully all these are interconnected. Why the Shastras insist that Nididhyasanam practice is important? Because Shastra accepts that even though you have gone through Shravanam, Maranam, everything fine, you are convinced. The obstacles in form of your samsaric obstacles or worries, they will keep on disturbing this thought. It is like a wound, Suppose you have a small wound. If you go on scratching it, it will never get well. You have to leave it undisturbed for it to get well and the skin to form on it and then close it. We can think of another example also. On a full moon day, suppose evening 5 o'clock, sun has not yet set. You come out and see the moon. The moon will be visible, but you will have to pay attention and locate the moon. But as night falls, you come out, you did not pay attention at all. You step into the night and the bright full moon will be staring in your face. You can't miss it at all. Because as the darkness increases, the moon becomes brighter and brighter. Now can we say that the moon has become brighter because there is more sunlight falling on the moon during night? Really speaking, the brightness of the moon remains the same throughout the day on that full moon day. But in the evening, the brightness is overpowered by daylight. And as daylight recedes, the obstacle recedes, then the moonlight becomes more and more powerful. These are all examples which help us to understand why meditation, this dharana, dhyana, samadhi, and all are very important. Absorption is very important. Because every student will get the teaching during Shravanam itself. And in Nididhyasanam, he brings the same teaching in a silent mind. He replaced the teaching. And in the withdrawn mind, the teaching becomes more and more powerful. Jnanam becomes jnana nishtha. The teaching is strongly registered. And therefore, Atmani Atmanam Atmana Pashyati. And therefore, second definition can be called Atma Darshanam. So, two definitions in this sloka, Chitta Uparamanam and Atma Darshanam. Samadhi, the definition of Samadhi. And he says, because of this Atma Darshanam, the benefit I enjoy is Tushyati. One feels the joy of Purnatvam. One feels, one owns up the joy of Purnatvam. When I am invoking my worldly personality, I am always Apurna. Because every father, may feel that, sincere fathers I'm talking about, I have not done enough for my family, for my children. which I ought to have done. Till my daughter is married and settled, I will not have peace of mind. Or till my son completes the education, settles down in a job, I will not consider my duty towards my family to be over. Many times, we feel after our parents pass away, when we think of the days, we will feel that maybe I could have done more for my parents. Unfortunately, like earlier times, these days, these daughters are in no hurry to get married. So that one limitation is always there in parents' mind. I have not been able to find a suitable match for my daughter, nor is she finding a suitable mate for herself. She is 35 years old, not married. So that gap is always there. There is a worry. There is something lacking. So if you look at the worldly personality that I have, there is no peace of mind. Any aspect of it you take, you will end up with some worry or the other, some limitation or the other, something lacking or the other. The only complaint-less personality is my Atma Swarupam. And when I invoke my Atma Swarupam, I am invoking my Purnatvam. And when I invoke my Purnatvam, Aham Atmani Eva Atmana Tushtaha. Or Atma Darshane Janya Tushtihi can also be taken. Therefore, Atma Darshanam is the second definition of Samadhi. So, two definitions he has given in the sloka number 20. Now we go to the sloka 21. Sukama yattad buddhigrahyamatīndriyam vetiyatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tatvatah. Sorry. So the Anvaya of this sloka is Veti yatra tad atyantikam sukham yad atindriyam buddhigrahyam cha eva stitaha ayam na chalati tatvatah. Veti yatra. One should know that to be samadhi. Veti here means one should know that to be samadhi. Yatra, wherein one appreciates tat atyantikam sukham, that limitless ananda, yat atindriyam, which is beyond sense organs, buddhigrahyam, and which is grasped by the intellect, cha eva stitaha, and remaining in which I am na chalati, one does not slip, one does not go away, tattvataha, from his true nature. So one should know that to be samadhi, wherein one appreciates that limitless ananda, which is beyond sense organs and which is grasped by the intellect, and remaining in which one does not slip from his true nature. So in this verse, two more definitions are given. He will give two more in the next sloka. So here the third definition is given. What is that? Atyantikam sukham, the highest ananda, one owns up. Atyantikam means limitless, sukham means ananda. Ananda means fulfillment, which is totally different from the experiential sense pleasures. As we have seen again and again, all the experiential sense pleasures, the experiential happiness, all of them are finite in terms of time, in terms of place, in terms of their quality. So qualitatively they are finite, and spatially and temporally also time-wise also they are finite. Therefore, any experiential pleasure or ananda is also limited by space, time, and quality, and even object. And that is why, if you say, if you ask somebody, he has gone on a, let's say, holiday trip, come say, how was the holiday? Oh, I had the greatest joy. You'll find this, you notice this. It will always be in the past tense. That means what? Today you are not having joy. That joy was greater than today's joy. The greatest joy I had. So on that particular day, I had the greatest joy, but now it is not there. And therefore, any experiential pleasure is time bound. Any sense pleasure is also time bound. And not only bound by time, it's also limited by quality. Qualitatively, gradation will be there in experiential pleasure. We have seen Taittiriya Upanishad earlier, isn't it? The different grades of experiential pleasures. Whereas this Ananda is totally different Ananda. The Atyantikam Sukham he talks about is a totally different Ananda. It does not come under experiential pleasure at all. It is limitless Ananda, which is different from experiential pleasure. And it is an Ananda which is obtaining in Samadhi only. But if it is an Ananda obtaining in Samadhi only, then it will be a limited pleasure. Suppose if a person says, I get the highest pleasure in Samadhi, that pleasure will last till the Samadhi lasts. Once out of Samadhi, the highest pleasure will be gone. And that's why, somebody wrote, in Samadhi, I had the greatest bliss. Having enjoyed the bliss, when I came out of Samadhi, I felt that the whole life is a pain. It was like hundreds of scorpions stinging my body. Now, if we have a choice, who wants that Samadhi? If later I am going to suffer scorpion stings. So we are not talking here about experiential pleasure. And therefore Krishna says buddhigrahyam. It is an ananda born of knowledge. Buddhi here means knowledge or intellect. It is an ananda born of wisdom, born of knowledge. The knowledge that I am Purnaha. I was Purnaha and I will ever be Purnaha. If only during meditation I am Purnaha, then when I come out of meditation I will become Apurnaha. Then I will be in great trouble. Therefore, whether I am in meditation or I am not in meditation, Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. I am always Purnaha and Purnam alone. That is the knowledge. I am always of the nature of Ananda and Ananda alone. And therefore, Ananda born of knowledge is a permanent Ananda. Because knowledge can never be displaced by time. Knowledge can never be displaced by any worldly experience. Once you have knowledge, Ignorance cannot come back again, irrespective of whether you are having an happy experience or unhappy experience, isn't it? So any experience cannot displace that knowledge. Therefore, if my ananda comes from wisdom, that ananda can never be shaken, that knowledge can never be shaken. And it is that purnatvam, that fulfillment, that sense of fulfillment born of wisdom is called atyantikam sukham, which is buddhigrahyam, and therefore only atindriyam. Atindriyam means beyond sense pleasures, because sense pleasures are invariably finite, as we have seen. Therefore, the third definition of samadhi is atyantikam sukham, veti, may you know. Veti is the verb which is in the second line. That verb has to be connected to the first line. And that is why Krishna does not use the word the experiences pleasures. Krishna uses the word veti, with dhatu. With dhatu means to know, knowledge. So he says such a person knows the pleasure, indicating that the ananda is in the form of knowledge or wisdom. Then comes the fourth definition in the second line. Yatra ayam stitaha na tattvataha chalati. Yatra stitaha, remaining in this. In this means what? Absorption or abiding in this Atma. Ayam tattvataha na chalati. One does not deviate into anatma because he has trained himself to abide in the Atma always. It is like a person who learns cycling. You might have learned it during younger days. Maybe, on a road or a ground. Initially, children go there where they will fall and all that, right? Also, in an empty ground, nothing to distract. Maybe your father or your friend or your brother holding the cycle from behind to steady your balance, and also tell you keep your both hands on the handlebar, look straight, and all that, rules and regulations, how to handle the how to hold the handlebar, etc., how to sit straight, samam kaya shiro grivam, etc. So with all this, you may still fall for a few times, and then you have to practice for some days, and then you become a cycle nishta, you're an expert cyclist. Once you have become a cycle nishta, you can ride the cycle in any road, with or without traffic, without obstacles. Obstacles like squatting cow. In India, you find squatting cows, hand carts, roads crowded with people like wholesale markets, etc. Whatever obstacles you confront, you will not fall. You know how to handle all the obstacles. That is called nishtha. And even if you have not ridden a cycle for a few years, because you graduated to a two-wheeler, a four-wheeler, etc., will you forget the art of cycling? You will always remain a cycle nishta, because that knowledge cannot be taken away from you. So a person who practices Atma Dhyanam, he will never lose this knowledge even during the intense transactions in his life, even in the worst crisis in his life, at any time. And that is called Tattva Nishta. Therefore, Tattvataha, Tattva here refers to the self, the Atma. Chalati means to deviate. Na chalati, one does not deviate from his higher nature. In fact, after that, once you have become a Tattva Nishta, the life becomes a drama. Just as a person plays different roles in a drama, he does not forget what he is in the green room. When he is putting on the makeup for different roles, he still knows what he is. But suppose he gets deeply identified with his role in the drama, then what can be done? But suppose he is doing the role of a beggar. On the stage, he will cry, seek alms, etc. And after the drama is over, if he continues to do that, thinking that he is a beggar, identified so much with the role. So what we'll have to do, we'll have to take him back to the green room, remove all the makeup, tell him that you are no longer, no, you are not a beggar, you are only playing the role of a beggar. In fact, you don't need to beg at all because we are going to give you a lot of money for having done a wonderful acting of a beggar. So if he is not convinced, he has to be taken to the green room, often to remind him that you are only playing these roles, but you are none of these roles. So going to this green room is called Nididhyasanam. How long he has to go? Until he can play the role without losing or forgetting his real nature. Pashyan Srinvan Sprishan Jigran Ashnan Gachan Swapanshwasan. Whatever be the transaction, he does not lose sight of the center of gravity. And yatra stitam san, yatra stitah san, remaining in which samadhi, one does not thereafter deviate from his true nature. We'll stop here, continue in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much. Dhanyavada everyone.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Om Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari
Thank
Om.
you.
Thank you very much, Guruji, for the session. Thank you.
Hari
Hari
Om,
Om.
Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Hariji.
You're leaving today?
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that means tomorrow class will not be there.
Yeah, Vivek Chudamani is not there. I have sent a message in the group. So no, tomorrow we will not, because I will be the airport at that time, morning, the class time, I'll be in the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guruji, I have a query. When we are talking about the Adi Shankara's this can you hear me?
No, I only heard up to Adi Shankara. After that, I didn't hear it.
Okay. The Adi Shankara's main hymn that like Bhajagovindam, are they to be used as Nididhyasana slogam?
Bhajagovindam itself may not be Nididhyasana, it cannot be used as Nididhyasana slokam. Some parts probably.
Nirvana Shatakam.
But Nirvana Shatkam, Nirvana Dashakam. So others are so many others, not only Adi Shankara, there are other Acharyas who have actually composed Nididhyasana slokas. So all those slokas one should study, one should read, and then bring it, to one's mind. The messages of those shlokas. In fact, there is also this Um, there is one more. Let me just recall. Yeah, Brahma Jnana Valli Mala. There is one more. It's also Adi Shankara's.
Okay.
So that also
Yeah, yeah.
that also you can, that's also beautiful. Nididhyasana slokas are there. So all those things. Don't worry about Nididhyasanam right now. Nididhyasanam is introduced because Krishna is talking about it, so we are talking about it. Nididhyasanam should come only you have got a doubtless knowledge that what you are, that you are Atma, your real self, consciousness. Till such time, if you do Nididhyasanam, it will be a waste of time. So Nididhyasanam, right now we are learning not for practicing Nididhyasanam, but for understanding that when we practice Nididhyasanam, when we come to that stage, what all should be kept in mind. That's why we are understanding that. Okay. But in the meantime, you can go through these slokas and try to understand their meanings. Because most of the slokas will talk about the same thing only from different perspective. Because the Atma is one, Anatma is so many, right? So you can define Anatma as na iti, na iti, na iti, right? So Atma you can define as neti, neti, neti. So every aspect of Anatma you can take up and say, I am not that, I am not that. And that's why, like Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Naham, all that kind of a thing. Every Anatma you can pick up and then say, I am not that. I am different from that. So what I am, Shivoham, Shivoham. So that way, you can read, you can go through these slokas and all, understand their meanings. Well, that is also one kind of Nididhyasanam. But then that Nididhyasanam will not become Jnana Nishta unless you are convinced that you are. You are that Atma only. Then that means your identification with the Anatma should totally go away. I don't think any of us has reached that stage that we are totally disidentifying ourselves with Anatma. So there is an identification with Anatma still continuing. And as long as that is there, any Nididhyasana sloka, even if we contemplate, will not work. So that is all we have to keep in mind.
So we have to distinguish between the yogic meditation and
Yes.
Vedantic meditation.
Yogic meditation is the tool we use to practice Vedantic meditation.
So the first phase is meditation.
First,
which will
no, yogic meditation,
yeah,
correct. Yogic meditation or in fact Ashtanga yoga, you can practice now,
yeah,
no problem. Because that will only improve your situation or your capacity to practice Vedantic meditation once you are ready for it. So yogic meditation, including all Ashtangas, I mean Yama, Niyama, Pranayama, Asana, everything you can practice. Well, eventually all that are going to help you in Vedantic meditation. For practicing that, you don't need to Aham Brahmasmi, knowledge is not required. But for Vedantic meditation, Aham Brahmasmi knowledge, firm knowledge is required.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Anjali ji.
Yeah, Namaste Guruji. Guruji, in the definition of Samadhi as Atma Darshana, what form of Darshana, any form of Darshana is anticipated or no, it is formless? How do we recognize that?
Means the knowledge of Atma. The word darshanam or pashyan are all meaning, literally meaning is seeing, correct? But when we understand in the Vedantic context, we have to interpret those words as knowledge. For example, even when we talk, and you make a point. Suppose somebody is making some argument and you say, no, it is not like that. It is like this. Then what do we say? Do you see my point?
I see.
I see what you are saying.
I see.
Means what? Is he seeing words or the content can see? You can't see the words, right? But when you say, I see what you are saying or what you are meaning, means I now gain the knowledge. I have got the knowledge of what you are trying to tell me. So the word see is many times used in the sense of knowledge, gaining knowledge. So when we talk Atma Darshanam or Atman Pashyan and all that, that's all have the knowledge of Atma, undoubted knowledge of what I really am. What is my real self? That is what it means. So Darshanam, don't take it literally.
Okay, Guruji.
I am formless. And if I am formless, I can't see anything, isn't it? For seeing anything, I at least need a form. Form, eyes can perceive only a form. It cannot perceive what is formless. So that is how you have to understand.
Okay, Guruji.
Thank you. Any other question?
Guruji, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Once Swami Paramatmanandaji said he was advising the students, if you want to be a serious spiritual aspirant, then you can chant this Kamala Jayava Ashtakam. It is. I just when you were talking about shlokas, I just remembered that. That's what I just wanted to share.
See, I tell you what, as Puja Swamiji says, the more and more Ishvara you bring into your life, the faster and faster you will travel in the spiritual path. The trick is that whether it is Vishnu Sahasranama Parayana, anything, all these slokas, the bottom line is bring more and more Ishvara into your life. Sitting, standing, walking, always your thought should be occupied with Bhagavan only. That ensures a lot of things. One is your mind is always thinking of Bhagavan, so all unnecessary thoughts will not come. Mind will relax. Bhagavan is always with me in my mind. That itself is a great relaxation. So these are all things, these are what we can practical tips which Acharyas give for us. Because on its own, we will not be able to appreciate. But if Acharya Guru tells us, we'll say, okay, let me try. The idea is that keep your mind occupied more and more with thoughts of Bhagavan, Ishvara and all. That will certainly help you. So no doubt that is a very good suggestion he gives. If you are serious, the problem with most of us is that we are not really serious about moksha. We will go all the way, but like the Indian hockey team or the last goal, we will not do. Because there is a problem. Oh, if I do like that, will it mean that I have to go away from my family? I have to break all my relationship with the family and all that. This kind of imagined fear, anxiety is there in everybody. So you don't want to go all the way. Some people, of course, will use this as an excuse not to even start the process. And that is why again and again it is emphasized what a jnani is. Krishna takes to so much length he goes to explain what a jnani is. Jnani is very much he can be in the society, very much he can have all relationships. But he has to internally make that wall. All these relationships, I am not going to get myself emotionally involved in that. That's all. So this is all these advices, because spirituality is a very complicated thing, especially in these days when people are going away and away from it. For somebody to come back to it or pursue it is not an easy thing. So all these advices are given by acharyas and gurus.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
One question, Guruji. Pramanam. What is the definition of word pramanam? Is it the books that, the kritis, or the proof of a certain thing? What is exactly the definition of
Literally,
what
a
pramanam is?
pramanam means a source of knowledge.
Source of knowledge. Okay.
That is pramanam, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that source has got to be an authentic source. In fact, very roughly, we sometimes translate it as proof.
That is the thing. Is
Yes.
it proof, or is it the body of literature?
No, proof is actually, we use it in an indirect sense, because suppose they say, suppose you say that I saw a or
I saw smoke. I saw smoke on the mountain. So there must be a fire.
So they say, what is the pramanam? Then your eyes are pramanam. I saw it. Okay. Because all our 5 sense organs are pramanam. Okay. Eyes are pramanam only for the rupam and color. Form and color, eyes are source of knowledge, isn't it? So now, in fact, if you are going to be in the Mundaka Upanishad class, I will deal with this pramanam in a very detailed manner. What is pramanam? Why Veda is a pramanam for us? And I'll explain all that, because this is, if I explain now, other people hearing may get confused. But for the person's sake, you can say pramanam means authentic source of knowledge. Which knowledge cannot be provided by any other source. Understand? Okay. So that
in the example you just presented, eyes is essentially a tool or an instrument through which you gain that information. You gain the knowledge of whatever.
And the knowledge of what? You gain the knowledge of only the form and color.
Okay.
You cannot gain the knowledge of music with your eyes. Mm-hmm. You cannot gain the knowledge of sound with your eyes. You cannot gain the knowledge of smell with your eyes. Isn't it? So we have got 5 sense organs. Each sense organ works in its own domain. And no other sense organ can actually do that job which can be done by one sense organ. Okay. So there are 2 conditions. One is source of knowledge and only source of knowledge. So 2 definitions we should say. A pramanam means for any given thing, it is a source of knowledge and it is the only source of knowledge. Okay. There is no other source from which you can gain this information.
The other question is pertaining to what Hariji just asked about meditation.
Yeah.
The yogic meditation he is mentioning, that is a precursor to the other. You elevate yourself.
So that is what we have taken. We Vedantins, Yoga Shastra doesn't talk about Atma and all that. The yogic meditation, that is culmination in samadhi. Now, for them, what is nirvikalpaka samadhi? A thoughtless state of mind. Right? Nirvikalpaka means there is no disturbance in the mind. So they call it nirvikalpaka samadhi, is a thoughtless state of mind. Chitta vritti nirodha hai. That's what the Yoga Shastra says. But
Mind without agitation is meditation.
yeah, the mind is blank. We challenge that. We challenge that first of all, mind cannot be blank. You cannot make mind blank. Because thought has got to be there in mind. Some thought. Even the thought of the mind that I am blank is a thought. If the mind thought is there, I am blank, I have no other thought, that itself is a thought, isn't it? So Vedanti, we say, no, we don't accept samadhi. And I say, we have nothing to do with that samadhi because our object is moksha. Our objective in life is not to make the mind blank. What are you going to achieve by making the mind blank? Okay, you are sitting in nirvikalpaka samadhi, your mind is blank. Are you going to die in that state itself? No. After some time, you will come out of the samadhi. When you come out of the samadhi, what will happen? All thoughts will again come back to your mind. So we ask the yoga practitioner, what have you achieved in this samadhi? Isn't it? It is just like there is a saying in our language. It is like giving a bath to a pig. You clean the pig, what it will do? It will again come back and sit in that all slush, mud, everything, and become dirty again. So what are you achieving by cleaning the mind for some time? You are not achieving anything. So we actually reject. We say your methodology is very good. The instrument and all these steps, this niyama, yama, and all that, asana, pranayama, excellent, very good. But we will use that for purpose of reaching that nididhyasanam stage, because that discipline is required for nididhyasanam also. But we say that at that stage, for us, there is nothing called nirvikalpaka samadhi, because there is only a sajatiya pratyaya pravaha. So the mind has got to be, we have to give a work to the mind. Isn't it? Otherwise, what they say, mind is a monkey. It will jump here and there. So the work that we Vedantins give to the mind is, forget everything else, forget all thoughts relating to Anatma, occupy yourself with the thoughts of Atma. So we are giving our mind is not, what to say, empty, right? There are thoughts, but those thoughts are of what? Of Atma, which is what? If we run the thoughts of Atma through the mind again and again and again, it will eventually help us to push that message of Vedanta into our subconscious. Once that message goes into our subconscious, then it will be our second nature. If somebody asks us, who are you? I will not say I am Ganapathy and all. I may say that for the purpose of other person, where he doesn't know all these things. In my mind, I will say I am Chidananda Rupa, I am Sachidananda Rupa. So then I will create that barrier between me and all my emotional problems, my intellectual issues and all that. Not get affected by that at all. So this is the whole problem. Because in Yoga Shastra, their aim is not moksha as defined in the Vedas. That is the big difference between Yoga Shastra and Vedanta. So this all we have to understand, but the methodology is very good.
The very definition of mind itself is of thought. If there is no thought, means there is no mind.
Exactly.
The moment I talk about mind, thought is there already.
In fact, that's why we go to the
flow.
We go to the extent, even though we say in Sushupti,
there is no mind.
There is no mind, we say, right? That is not a very accurate statement.
Yeah.
Because the thought that I am actually having a very nice sound sleep is getting recorded, right? But that thought is getting recorded in Sushupti is not available for us during waking hours. So how do we know? And that's why we say that Atma Chaitanyam is there. The witness is there for that.
Yeah.
The thought is there in the mind that I am having a sound sleep. That thought is witnessed by the Atma Chaitanyam. And that is why when we wake up, the Atma Chaitanyam is common. So that is giving us the information that I had a sound sleep. So these are all highly technical points. If you go into it in detail, a lot of details are there. And all this way we will get clarified, because a brilliant student may ask this question. You say Sushupti mind is not working. But when you get up, you say I had a sound sleep. The very moment you say I had a sound sleep means there is a thought in your mind that there is a knowledge there in your this thing. How do you know that? So you are contradicting yourself. So all these questions can come up. And that is why Acharyas and Gurus who have commented on the Upanishads and all, they deal with all these aspects. Go deep into this. Convincing can be done only by that.
The experience of nothingness.
Yeah. And that is why we reject
during
Shunyavada Buddhism also. Buddhism says before this, there was nothing. Nothing. We say, can anything come out of nothing? Buddhism says that the whole universe came out of nothing. How can anything come out of nothing?
In order for you to say that, you should have existed.
Exactly. So that is why Shunyavada of Buddhism we reject. I mean, if you read Brahma Sutra Bhashyam of Adi Shankara, all these things, he brings it out and deals with each and every aspect. Beautiful.
Which is very similar to what you just mentioned about Manasa, right? Like, that there will always be thoughts in the mind.
Mind can never, if it is, there are no thoughts, as Ariji said, there is no mind. There is thoughtless mind is only
that is the definition of mind.
Huh?
No, the very definite. When we talk about mind, the definition of mind itself is flow of thought.
Yes, flow of thoughts. Then you don't talk about mind at all. You have to mind means flow of thoughts, isn't it? So that is, all those discussions are there. That's how we have to understand. So pramanam also, these are the two aspects of pramanam you have to note. Source of knowledge, only source of knowledge, that knowledge for that particular thing. So what happens? No other pramanam can contradict this pramanam. Understand? Because that is the only thing. Now, suppose you are hearing some nice music, that eyes cannot contradict that music. Only your hearing can, is the source of knowledge for that music. Suppose let's say somebody is singing a raga. Let's say he is singing Kalyani Ragam, right? A particular song. Now you have a person who is well versed in music. You are hearing that and you say, oh, such a beautiful Kalyani Ragam he is singing. Then you go through a book of the songs. In that book, that particular song, somebody has written, it is Todi. Okay. Your eyes see it, right? Now, whether it is Todi or Kalyani, which is the source of knowledge for you? Your ears only. Immediately you will say, oh, this person who has written is wrong. This song is Kalyani, not Todi. So, eyes cannot contradict what the ear hears, So that is what this pramanam is all about. We will talk if you are going to be in Mundaka Upanishad class, I will deal with pramanam, prameyam, all that in detail. These are all technical words which we have to remind ourselves again and again, even though we might have seen this in while studying other texts, but every new text we have to remind some of the important terminologies and their nature. That's important. Yeah.
Another fascinating thing, what Sarvapriyananda ji, when he talks about Mandukyam, in that his discourse, he talks about there is, I saw smoke, so there must be fire. You're inferring. So that is Nyaya Shastra. But then compared to the Aristotelian, whatever that Western logic, in our way of thinking, it is not adequate that you say, okay, if I saw smoke, there must be fire. You cannot just infer. You have to also present an example, like fire in a kitchen. You have to say that. That is an additional piece of information that you need to include before you conclude that there is fire. He was mentioning that. I mean, yeah. So it is a little bit different from the Western logic. So then the
logic is because ours is all very well codified. Our Nyaya Shastras are very well codified. So if you read that Nyaya Shastra, then you will know that this is how we have to actually present things. It is not merely rules by which you have to follow the rules to say make any statement rather. So
Chandra Mohan ji is referring to Anumanam now, actually.
Anumanam, see, there are means of knowledge, there are different, we go by 6 means of knowledge. Pratyaksha, then Anumanam, then Arthapatti, all that, then even Shastra is a means of knowledge for us. So there are, I mean, if we get into that, it's a very big topic rather. So we will see, I mean, bit by bit in all contexts, we will see all those things. In fact, about Anumanam and Pratyaksha, these 6 means of knowledge, we have already dealt with right from Tattvabodha itself, I have dealt with it rather. So different, texts when we study, in different contexts, all these things are explained, what are they and all that. So that is what it is.
Hari Om Guruji.
Anything else?
Hari
Om. Thank you very much. We'll meet next Sunday. I'll be back in India.
Wishing you a very
Next Saturday.
safe flight tomorrow.
Tomorrow my flight is at 12 o'clock in the noon, 12 noon.
I say wishing you a very safe
Thank you very
flight.
much. Thank you very much. So see you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.